Happy Wednesday. It is me, Robin, and Kevin here on a slightly chillier day today.
Really cold.
Really cold is kind of strange. This is like that weird crossover season where it all of a sudden feels super cold at 0 degrees, whereas 2 weeks ago we would have been happy to have 0 degrees.
All right, but it still feels cold though. That's all I'm saying. I was outside and I was cold. Let's just call it red wine weather.
It's red
agree
wine?
on that? All right.
Let's do that.
And we've got some really interesting wines this week. I'm excited because I've been waiting for these to come in for a long time. Heinrich was a winery we actually found almost a year ago now. This month we were in a organic wine show in France where these guys were pouring some wines, and I really love what they do. I think the wines are really interesting. I think if you haven't had Austrian wines before, you should definitely come down and try them. Tasting bars open again, so pop in on the weekend and give these a try because they're really interesting wines, and I don't think Austrian wines are necessarily what people expect.
Totally. I remember when you guys came back last year, actually, how excited you guys were about all these wines that we found. And now that I've tasted a few, I can totally see why.
See? We know what we're doing sometimes. So Heinrich is fun. They're from Burgenland, so they're down in the south. It's a little warmer climate. So when I think of Austrian wines, I often think about Riesling or Gruner Veltliner, and I'm thinking about like steep slopes, running along the river. But this is down in a warmer climate. It's more actual red grape varieties down there, and you get like a little more generosity in the wine. So we've got the Blaufränkisch, which is I think an amazing food wine. Have you had a bottle of this on the table yet?
This is the only one I haven't, but I am taking it home tonight because I want to know what I'm talking about this weekend.
Yeah, that would have been last night. You should have done that.
I should have done that.
Really... Okay, well I'll talk about it. I've had it. If you love Pinot Noir, if you love Dolcetto, if you like grapes like that, it's not a big heavyweight grape variety, but it has a ton of flavor. It has a lot of like really nice cherry notes. It has great spice to it, and it goes with so many things. I mean, it's a natural if you're doing any baked salmon, but it also works really well with things like just like a roasted chicken works great. There's so many things you can do with these wines because they're not going to overpower the food that you're cooking. They're really just going to add some spice and flavor. They have that nice zippiness to them. And the white, I don't even know where to go with the white on food. It's like such a diverse and interesting wine.
It is really interesting. It's got a little bit of Chardonnay in there. It's got quite a few different little things in there. And you'll notice on these ones, there's actually quite a bit of sediment. They tell you to shake it before you serve it because there is a little bit of residual left in there, and it does add some interest to the wine.
Yeah, there's a little bit of cloudiness. They're not crazy. You're not going to get big chunks in your mouth or anything weird. They just have a little cloudiness to them. And the reason is because these wines are all made with very little intervention. So there's no filtering, there's no fining in these wines. So they're trying to preserve all the natural texture that you're going to get in the wines. And you really feel it, especially in the white. This white has such amazing texture to it. It's a really pretty wine.
Yeah, when a lot of people are referring to natural wines, sometimes they will call them naked wines, which is what they've done with their little play on words on their labels, calling these guys all naked, because they do, minimal intervention within the vineyards. Everything is biodynamic since 2007,
Right.
And that's why we have our little pack this week is Au Naturel, a nice entry level into natural wine.
Yeah, absolutely. And people often ask us what natural wine is, and it's kind of a tough thing to answer, right? Because there's no official definition of it. So as many wines as possible in the shop, we work already organically. So for us, it's really important that our producers aren't using chemical herbicides, chemical pesticides. Those are big no-nos when we're buying wine because we want to be supporting people that are working in the most natural way possible, respecting the environment, and typically those are the winemakers that are making the best wines anyway, because there's not a lot of winemakers out there that are just trying to make homogeneous products, spray their vineyards with a bunch of chemicals and make interesting wine. It just doesn't really work that way. So the reality is most of the people that are working as naturally as possible with as little intervention in the wine, I mean, almost anyone you talk to nowadays has the same refrain, right? They try to do all their work in the vineyard, grow the best, healthiest grapes possible, and then do as little as they can in the winery. But with natural wine, they're really trying to do as little as possible.
For sure. This rosé, super, super delicious. I have a thing for
really
rosé. And they only have 1 gram of residual sugar in it, so it's super, super dry.
Really dry, yeah.
But it has that nice, like, rich watermelon kind of thing going on, too. I really loved that wine.
Yeah, everybody loved this rosé. It's a super interesting wine. There's a lot of complexity to it. I think, again, great food wine. It'd be really fun on the table. The red from Heinrich was fun too, just a really lighter style, fresher style of wine.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's going to be sort of along the same lines as the Blaufränkisch, so it's not a big heavyweight wine. It's going to be, if you're a Pinot fan, I think that'd be a great one.
Yeah, it's a Blaufränkisch and Zweigelt blend, and even the rosé is from Blaufränkisch, so you can get the whole experience from that if you want.
If you didn't know about Blaufränkisch before
You're
this
going to
weekend,
now.
you will after it. And then we threw in a couple wines from Alsace that we've been working with for a while. Tell us about the Kreidenweiss.
Yeah, Mark Kreidenweiss, he bought the vineyard in 70s, and then they converted actually in the 80s to biodynamics. So they've been doing this for a long, long time.
Yeah.
They even say on the very top of their labels, the soul of the soil. So they chose to go biodynamics because they really wanted, and they believe that the expression of the soils that it grows in really comes through by following that practice. So.
Yeah, it's an amazing winery. It's one of my favorite Alsace wineries. I think people often in Calgary shy away from Alsace wines. They see the tall bottles, they think they're sweet. These are not sweet, they're dry wines. They're really expressive wines. If you're a lover of Burgundy, you'd really want to try both of those because they have that real almost Burgundian style to them, right? Big texture, really lush, really beautiful example. So
yeah, the Pinot Blanc has always been one of my favorite whites too. It's got a bit of like richness to it, super bright acid. It's just really pretty, a little bit of that kind of gingery, spicy quality to it.
I love the wine. And how much for the 4-pack?
So for the 4-pack is on sale for $109.95.
That's a pretty great deal. The one thing you're going to see when you're moving into natural wines and biodynamic wines, it's a lot more work that goes into it. So typically the man hours are a lot more working organically in the vineyard. So that's sometimes reflected a little bit in the price. You're not mechanizing anything. You're not sort of standardizing everything. You're doing everything by hand, and you're employing more people to do it. So the wines are noticeably better, in my opinion. I think they're more interesting wines, but they're going to be a couple bucks more. So that's an amazing price for 4 of those. So
yeah, thank you.
Nice job on the wine pack, and hopefully we'll see you in here on the weekend to try some fun Austrian wines.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see you.